Imagine this: 5:17 a.m., a humid morning in the Strait of Hormuz. 23 Iranian fast attack craft break formation, heading directly for the USS Abraham Lincoln. No radio contact, no identification signals, just 23 diesel-powered bullhammer-type boats speeding at approximately 111 kilometers per hour towards a 100,000-ton nuclear-powered aircraft carrier. Their crews had trained for this exact moment, convinced that speed and sheer numbers would overwhelm American defenses. But they had no idea they were about to receive a masterclass in what happens when cheap boats challenge a carrier strike group equipped with weapon systems whose value exceeds Iran's entire naval budget. Welcome to Border Watch Daily, your source for in-depth analysis of modern military operations. The Abraham Lincoln wasn't sailing alone. 2 Arleigh Burke-class destroyers flanked the carrier at approximately 3,658 meters. The USS Thomas Hudner to port and the USS Mason to starboard. Between them, a Cyclone-class patrol boat, the Saraka, maintained an intercept course at about 46 kilometers per hour. Its crew of 28 spotted the incoming contacts before anyone else. At around 3 kilometers distant, these craft resembled fishing boats on radar. By approximately 3 kilometers, the pattern became obvious. This was not commercial activity. It was a coordinated swarm attack, straight out of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard playbook. 5:18 a.m. The tactical action officer aboard the Lincoln gave the order. Launch the Hylos. 2 MH-60R Seahawk helicopters lifted off the flight deck, their twin General Electric turboshaft engines screaming. 240 pintle-mounted machine guns were armed, and AGM-114 Hellfire missiles were loaded onto external pylons. Their mission was simple: track the swarm, identify threats, and engage if the rules of engagement were met. The pilots climbed to approximately 457 meters altitude and banked towards the approaching formation. From up high, they had a clear overview: 23 craft in a loose V formation, their bow wakes bright white against the dark water. Some carried visible rocket launchers, others what appeared to be heavy machine guns on improvised mounts. This was classic asymmetric warfare, overwhelming sophisticated defenses with numbers and aggression. 5:19 a.m. The Iranian craft split into 3 groups. 14 maintained their course toward the aircraft carrier, 6 turned towards the Mason, and 3 accelerated towards the Thomas Hudner. Their speed increased from approximately 111 to 130 kilometers per hour. These newer boats were faster than intelligence had predicted, likely variants of the Siraj class, with fiberglass hulls and twin diesel engines capable of reaching about 157 kilometers per hour in calm seas. Each craft might cost $400,000. The carrier they were attacking, however, was worth $13 billion. The numbers didn't favor anyone. The Combat Information Center aboard the Lincoln went from routine to intense focus in seconds. Petty officers identified contacts. Officers verified threat vectors. Within 90 seconds, every ship in the battle group knew exactly where these craft were headed and when they would enter weapons range. The Iranians were 8 minutes out. To the American crews, it felt like an eternity. Plenty of time to prepare. Plenty of time to hope cooler heads would prevail. To understand what happened next, it's essential to talk about the Phalanx close-in weapon system. The Phalanx is a 20mm M61 Vulcan Gatling gun, mounted on an autonomous turret. It features 6 rotating barrels in a Block 1B configuration and fires at 4,500 rounds per minute. That's 75 tungsten armor-piercing rounds unleashed every second. This system has its own search and track radar, its own fire control computer, and its own decision algorithms. In autonomous mode, it waits for no human permission. It detects a threat, calculates a firing solution, and opens fire. The engagement sequence takes less than 2 seconds from detection to the first shot. Its effective range is approximately 3,658 meters, but the Phalanx doesn't engage at maximum range. It waits, tracks the target, calculates. The closer the target, the tighter the dispersion pattern, the higher the probability of destruction. Typical engagement occurs around 1,463 meters, or less than 1/6 kilometers. At that distance, a fast boat moving at approximately 130 kilometers per hour covers the gap in about 40 seconds. There's no room for hesitation, no time for committee decisions. The computer makes the call. The Block 1B added a crucial capability for this precise scenario: a forward-looking infrared sensor in surface mode. The original Phalanx was designed to shoot down incoming missiles, fast, high-altitude targets. This upgrade allowed it to track and engage small, wave-skimming craft. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard fastboats thus became legitimate targets. The system's nickname is R2D2. The gun produces a sound like an industrial zipper tearing through sheet metal. There's nothing cute about what it does to fiberglass boats. 5:24 a.m. The moment arrived. 3 fast boats broke formation and rushed towards the Thomas Hudner at full power. Bows raised, engines roaring, no warning shots, no radio transmissions, pure, unadulterated aggression. They closed to approximately 3,200 meters, then 2,286 meters, and finally 1,372 meters. The rules of engagement were crystal clear. Defensive force authorized when hostile intent is demonstrated. 3 craft charging a destroyer at combat speed with visible mounted weapons constitute hostile intent. The Hudner's weapons systems officer gave the order: Phalanx, automatic engagement of surface threats. The first Phalanx system mount swiveled. The radar locked onto the lead craft at approximately 1,646 meters. The computer verified threat criteria: inbound, closing, armed. The barrels began to spin, 75 rounds per second. The lead craft was disintegrated. Not sunk, but disintegrated. 20mm tungsten penetrators don't punch holes in fiberglass. They shred it. The bow exploded first, followed by the engine compartment. Fuel tanks ignited. What had been a fast boat became a cloud of debris and black smoke in less than 4 seconds. The Phalanx fired 137 rounds. The cost per engagement was approximately $6,300. The destroyed craft might have cost $400,000, but the 3 Iranian sailors on board were priceless. They jumped just before the final volley, floating in the water, stunned but alive. The second craft swerved sharply, left, too late. A Seahawk helicopter had been tracking it from above. The pilot squeezed the trigger of his M240 pintle-mounted machine gun. 7.62mm rounds raked the water, with a tracer every 5th shot. The gunner adjusted his aim to the craft's stern. The engine block was perforated, the fuel line severed. The craft lost power and capsized, inert in the water. The crew scrambled to don life jackets. The third fast boat attempted to flee at approximately 93 kilometers per hour in the opposite direction. But the Cyclone-class patrol boat, the Sirocco, closed to about 2,012 meters. Its Bushmaster Mk-38 Mod 2 chain gun tracked the fleeing target. The fire control system locked on. The gunner received clearance. The Bushmaster M242 began its work. 200 rounds per minute, 2 5mm high explosive shells with a tracer every fourth round. The first burst fell short, geysers of water rising approximately 46 meters behind the craft. The gunner corrected. The second burst found its mark. The fast boat's fiberglass hull could not stop military ordnance traveling at 900 meters per second. The shells pierced the transom, the engine, the bow. The craft slowed, stopped, and began to sink. The crew abandoned ship in seconds. 3 more Iranians in the water. 3 more lessons learned the hard way. 5:26 a.m. Silence returned. The engagement lasted 97 seconds from the first shot to the ceasefire. 3 fast boats were neutralized. 0 American casualties. No American ships were damaged. The remaining 20 Iranian craft dispersed. Some retreated at maximum speed. Others circled at a safe distance, observing, learning, understanding that what had seemed like an opportunity was, in fact, a carefully orchestrated demonstration of American firepower. The Abraham Lincoln never deviated from its course. Not a single degree of heading change, not a single knot of speed adjustment. $13 billion of American naval power moved through the Strait of Hormuz as if 23 buzzing foreign fast boats weren't even worth adjusting coffee rations. But the intelligence harvest was staggering. Every radar emission from these craft was captured and cataloged. Every engine signature recorded, flight patterns analyzed. The new SID-class variants were faster than expected. The Iranian crews showed better training than in previous encounters. They split into formation intelligently, used terrain masking behind commercial vessels, and demonstrated tactical proficiency. All of this was cataloged, classified, and integrated by American analysts into future planning. Here's how swarm tactics are supposed to work and why they failed spectacularly. The theory is simple. Overwhelm sophisticated defensive systems with cheap, fast, disposable assets. A destroyer might carry 600 missiles and thousands of rounds of ammunition, but those magazines are not infinite. Send enough craft, and eventually, the numbers will favor the swarm. Some craft get through. Some reach launch range for anti-ship missiles or torpedoes. Some ram the target. It's naval warfare reduced to its crudest mathematics. Quantity versus quality. The problem lies in the execution. Swarm tactics work when the defender cannot track all threats simultaneously, when sensors are overwhelmed, when human operators panic under pressure. But modern U.S. naval sensor networks don't get overwhelmed. The SPY-1D radar aboard the Mason tracked all 23 craft continuously. The Phalanx autonomously engaged the closest threats. The Seahawks provided air cover and precision fire. The Cyclone-class patrol boat intercepted the escapees. It was layered defense executed to perfection. Every threat vector was covered, every gap filled. Iran has been refining its swarm tactics since the tanker war in the 1980s. They've invested in faster craft, better weapons, improved training, but the fundamental problem remains unsolved. Speed and numbers only matter if you can close the distance without being destroyed. And American defensive systems are constantly improving to prevent precisely that. The cost analysis is telling. Iran deployed 23 craft. Each boat consumed approximately 757 liters of diesel for the 2-hour mission. The fuel cost alone amounted to about $9,000. Add crew salaries, maintenance, and operational expenses, and the total for the entire operation might reach $50,000. The destruction of 3 craft represents approximately $2 million in actual material losses. Add the value of intelligence gained from exposing their tactical doctrine, the propaganda loss from 3 neutralized boats, and the embarrassment of retreating after the engagement. The total Iranian cost approaches $5 million if all factors are included. The United States spent 137 Phalanx rounds at approximately $46 each, totaling $6,300. Approximately 225 mm Bushmaster rounds at about $50 each, totaling $10,000. Helicopter fuel and 7 6.2 mm ammunition cost an additional $3,000. The total American expenditure, about $20,000 in consumables. The weapon systems themselves are not consumables. They return to base ready for the next engagement. But the true cost is not measured in dollars. It's measured in the degradation of deterrence. Every failed swarm attack teaches potential adversaries that confronting U.S. carrier strike groups with fast boats is a costly theater. Every neutralized boat sends a simple message. We see you coming. We track you continuously. We will give you a chance to turn back. After that, the rules of the game change permanently. The 3 Iranian crews, plucked from the water, were handed over to Iranian Coast Guard vessels within 4 hours, a professional courtesy in accordance with international maritime law. They returned home with stories their commanders likely wouldn't have wanted circulating. Accounts of weapon systems that engaged before human operators could even blink, of tungsten shells that turned boats into confetti, of helicopters that hunted from angles impossible to defend. Word of mouth spreads faster than propaganda. In closed militaries, these stories matter. 5:43 a.m. The Abraham Lincoln carrier strike group continued its journey south through the Strait of Hormuz. Training exercises resumed that afternoon. Crews ate dinner at their usual times. The incident was recorded, reported, and analyzed. Routine for a carrier strike group that handles more complexity before breakfast than most navies do in a month. Within 72 hours, Iranian state media broadcast carefully edited footage showing valiant Iranian Revolutionary Guard sailors confronting the American fleet. Propaganda intended for domestic consumption. The ship's logs, however, told a very different story. The aircraft carrier had maintained a perfectly straight line throughout the engagement, treating the 3 aggressive fast-boat incursions with the same indifference most people reserve for overly bold seagulls at a beach picnic. This is modern deterrence in action. Not spectacular explosions, no body counts, just a 9/7 second demonstration, proving that challenging a carrier strike group with aging fast boats is like challenging a chess grandmaster by announcing your moves 3 turns in advance. The chessboard belongs to whoever controls the information, and the information belonged entirely to America. The Strait of Hormuz remained open that morning. No international crisis erupted. No international incident required explanations. Just 20 fast boats returning home with futile threats and thorough debriefings. as the most powerful collection of warships ever assembled, continued its unwavering journey south. Some lessons are taught by overwhelming force. This one was taught with overwhelming precision. And for the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Command, that quiet efficiency probably stung more than any missile barrage ever could have. They sought a confrontation. They found a firing range.